Hey there. So I want to tell you guys kind of like a little story. It's gonna be weird. I'm probably gonna have a hard time saying it, just like I do for any of my other videos though, so it's like nothing different. But I just want to say it, because I feel like it, okay? So for anybody who might be in any of my classes, you may realize what I'm trying to say, if you're any of my school friends. If you're just a totally random person watching this, also thanks. I love it when people watch my videos. That's awesome. Okay, so to the story. So there's a little girl sitting in front of the class. All she ever does is smiles and draws all day. She does nothing else except sits there. She just sits there and draws. Nothing else. Except there's, I don't know, there's just something about her. I just can't quite, describe it. What is it about her? She's just sitting there. She just smiles all day, does nothing wrong. She answers all the questions in class. She knows all the answers. She's very smart. She keeps to herself. She doesn't say anything, though. She never talks to any of the other kids. People just never like to be around her. She doesn't know why. She's always alone. People don't seem to understand. She goes to school, she walks around, she does everything all the other kids does. There's a spot at our school in the atrium. The atrium is big. There's so many kids everywhere. We all just pick a seat wherever we want. She always does. She sits where she wants. Other people, they end up moving. They don't sit near her. They just pick up their stuff, they get up, sit somewhere else. She watches them. She watches as everybody walks past her. And she just sits there. She stares at them. She just stares up at them with her big brown eyes. She looks all helpless. She's curious why nobody will join her. She just sits there. With her art pad, she continues to drawing away. She continues looking up as the kids walk past. Nobody even bothers. The sad thing is, she started wearing a lot of bracelets. Still, nobody noticed. She just sat there. She kept to herself. That was it. Nobody associated with her. Nobody said a word. She never said a word. She just sat there. She was quiet. She still smiled. But then, when she would look up with her eyes would be watery. Nobody ever noticed. Nobody noticed her cry out for help. She never had any friends, so she never knew what it really felt like. She just sat there, all alone. She continued to draw. Her pictures became very dark and scary looking. It was always dark settings or dark, creepy looking things. Nobody ever really realized. One day she was drawing rainbows, next day she was drawing devils and, I don't know, other dark stuff. She just sat there, continued smiling as if nothing was wrong. That smile, it hid all the pain inside. Nobody noticed. One day, she wore a lot of bracelets. Still nobody noticed. Then she also wore her sweater over her bracelets. It was really hot outside. It was like 80 degrees. The air conditioning wasn't even working at school. She still sat there with her sweater on, her bracelets covering her arms. Nothing. Nobody bothered. She just sat there. Couple times, for maybe close to a week, she sat there, and her art pad was just sitting right next to her. She stopped drawing. She stopped caring. It would just sit there. She would sit there. She would just sit there and stare blankly at the wall, hoping somebody, eventually, one day, will care. Never happened. She continued sitting there. The time went on. Soon, she never even got out her art pad anymore. She would just walk over there and sit. That was it. She would just sit. She wouldn't bother getting out her art pad anymore. She knew she wouldn't draw anymore. She'd just go over there and sit. She felt like, what's the point if she's not going to draw anymore? She was even curious, why would she even continue sitting there if nobody even bothered sitting next to her? Then, one day, she decided to leave. She just stopped sitting there anymore. Instead, she went out and went for a walk. She decided to sit outside now. She still was by herself. She did that for a couple more weeks. She never sat there again. Nobody even noticed that she was gone. She felt even worse. Then nobody even noticed. She was curious why nobody noticed. Why nobody bothered. Then, that pretty smile of hers, it faded. That pretty smile faded. Oh, what a shame. She was so pretty. That smile, it hid all of her pain. Now that that smile is gone, now she is showing everybody how much she really hurts. Every second she is close to crying, though. She can't do that. She doesn't want to show that she's weak. She doesn't cry. She just sits there in the middle of class. Then one day she did cry. She did run out the door. That was the last anybody ever saw of her, though. She didn't return to that class anymore. She, every once in a while, would get caught just roaming the halls, walking around. She even didn't know why she did that. She just felt like it. But still, nobody really knew why. She would just walk around, wondrously. She thinks now that she was just probably looking and hoping somebody would just decide to give her a hug and be her friend. Nobody noticed that she would cry all the time. She would even cry herself to sleep. She wouldn't smile anymore. She wouldn't draw anymore. She was so lonely, so sad. She just wanted a friend. She just didn't know how. The thing is that she's tried to have friends before, though. She's really tried. Except she can't have friends. Her past, it keeps her from having friends. She always ends up pushing people away by accident. It just happens. She doesn't mean to. And then now she's forever alone. Nobody bothers to care. That girl, she just sits there. She's so alone, she's so quiet. Here's a twist. Did you know that that girl that I was talking about is actually me? I go to school, I answer all the questions, I actually am smarter than I let on at times. Yeah, I do draw. There's been times where I stop drawing, and I don't do anything. There's a spot at school where I sit all the time. I don't sit there at times. Nobody even notices. Nobody bothers. They don't even ask why I wasn't there. They won't even sit near me or anything. But here's the thing, is I do want friends. I do want to be friends with somebody. Except I've had a bad past, and it stops me from having friends. I always end up pushing people away. I can't keep anybody around. It's hard at times. It's hard to have a friend when that my past keeps reminding me of different things. I end up accidentally pushing people away and I don't even realize it. I'm the bad one. I can't keep friends. That story, it was about me. Although I never disappeared. I never skipped a class. I never wandered the halls randomly. I've always just been myself. I still sit in class. Every once in a while my smile fades or something. But, meh. The point is I want you to pay attention to those people who don't talk. Pay attention to them. All they want is a friend. And I am that friend that reaches out to those others. And I hope you'll be that person too.